Welcome to the Cornerstone VBS 2018 Volunteer Orientation. This is Georgia Frutinek, and I will try to make this brief and get through it quickly so you can get back to whatever it is you're doing. Our theme this year is Shipwrecked, Rescued by Jesus. And this training is not meant to be everything absolutely that will come up that you need to know, but really more of an overview. And this is for all volunteers. So it's my hope that everyone who's volunteering will watch this training. So let's start by saying a quick prayer. Heavenly Father, help us stay focused on you. Sometimes it's easy to get focused on all of the details and get very excited and get very caught up and lose our focus and help us remember that we are here because of you. Help us show our love to these children, to these adults, to these youth, and to everybody, and to the parents, and to everybody that we interact with this week. It is our hope that you will be in the room and present with us every single moment. And I know you will, because I can feel it, and I know you have done it before, and have every confidence that this is going to be a great week, and it will be all about you. In your precious and holy name we pray. Amen. Thanks. Okay, so we're going to do a quick overview. We're going to talk about some expectations, what you need to know about a few things, and then kind of who to ask and who to tell if you need to ask or tell somebody something. Okay, so VBS starts Sunday. That's June 3rd through June 7th. The kids are going to be here from 6 to 8:30. The volunteers will be here a little bit before that and a little bit after that. We'll get into that in just a second. The doors are going to be locked until all the volunteers are in place, and then we're going to open them at 5:45. The ages for VBS are pre-K. They have to be 4 by September 1st through 6th grade. And our 6th graders get to choose whether they want to go through VBS as a participant or they want to go through VBS as a helper or a volunteer. And this year we've got a big group of 6th graders, and some of them are participants and some of them are volunteers. And so that's fabulous. All registration is done online with the exception of a few who have done paper registration. And registration is closed as of this recording. Maria has a few spots in preschool, I think. So if you know someone that still wants to register, you can ask. But for the most part, we are really full, and it is very exciting. We got a lot of kids coming on Sunday, so we got to get ready for them. Okay, so what do you wear? If you have one of these Created by God t-shirts, then please wear that. They are $5 in the narthex, and we're selling them on Sunday mornings, and we'll be selling them Friday morning. So pick one up. They say Cornerstone UMC on it. If yours is dirty and you want to wear one of your old red VBS shirts, then that is fine. But we'd like you to have one of these shirts on because we want our volunteers to be very visible and it to be very clear who are the workers. And so parents know who to ask questions and kids know who they can go to for help. Your arrival time will really depend on the area that you are working in. If you are a crew leader, you have a separate training to watch that'll talk to you about what time to be there. If you're in crafts, then you're going to go to Teresa Ivy, and she's going to tell you what time to be there. Really, whatever area where you're working, that's going to dictate your arrival time. If you're not sure, then reach out to me or Diana, and we'll let you know where you're working and what time that you need to be there. I hope we've reached out to most of you who have signed up on my whatever list and kind of told you where we needed you and asked you where you want to serve. You're going to enter through the office door, and that's instead of the narthex. And the reason for that is sometimes parents come really early and they're hanging out around right outside that narthex door. And so we really would rather all the volunteers enter through the office, come through the sanctuary, and then come in and check in the narthex. And that's new this year. We're going to check in all the volunteers in the narthex. And the reason for that, in the past we've done just crew leaders and youth checking in the narthex. And the reason for that is we want to be very clear on who are the people in the building. We want to be very positive of we have a list of who are the people in the building. We want to make sure that we've got background checks on the people with the building. We want to make sure we have contact phone numbers for any parents if there are youth in the building. We want to be very buttoned up as far as who's in the building. So everybody check in the narthex, please. Your own children must be registered if they are going to attend VBS. And that seems like that makes sense, but we always have had, volunteers who are saying, well, I'm volunteering. Of course my kid's going to register, but you must register. So if you haven't registered your child, please call Maria as soon as you hear this, and see if we have space and get your child in the registration. You also must reserve childcare, and you would do that by contacting Diana. We will have a nursery. We've got some volunteers and some staff in the nursery. They're going to have a blast. They're going to do their own crafts. They're going to play games. They're going to sing and dance. They're going to have a great time, but we need to know how many babies we have in the nursery so that we can make sure that we're properly staffed. Okay, registration has already taken place. We've collected information on the children. We've got emergency contact information. Somebody in the narthex, probably Maria, will have that information during VBS, and then crew leaders also have emergency contact for every single kid in their crew. The crew leaders and the people who need to know have been made aware of medical issues or allergies or any type of special need. If you're not aware of a child with a special need, then it doesn't mean the child doesn't have one. It just means that you didn't need to know that information. If you're working in the dining room, then you're going to be aware of those kids who have food allergies. We also asked during the registration process of the home church, and that's information that we gather so we can reach out to people who maybe don't have a home church and invite them to Cornerstone. And so as you're interacting with the kids, I encourage you to ask them if they have a home church, because we definitely want them to feel comfortable coming to visit us. Okay, so this is Maria, and she's in charge of registration last year. You probably recognize Mary Elizabeth. She's been in charge of registration in the past and always done a great job, and she has transitioned this year to Maria. So we welcome Maria, and we want to give her all the support that we can. Okay, so if you're new, the way we divide up the kids is every kid is assigned to a crew. And a crew is a small group. Like what you see here is an elementary crew. And an elementary crew will have 7 or 8 kids in it. A preschool crew will probably have like 4 or 5 kids. And so the crew is the small group, and crews travel together in groups. So in this case, the cheetahs is the group, and there'll be 4, maybe 5 crews that are in that group of cheetahs. And so if you are cheetah number 2, that means you're the second crew in the cheetahs. Okay, so every crew is going to have its own crew leader, and then the groups will travel together. And so in a group, there will be 4 or 5 crew leaders, and typically more than that, because we'll have lots of assistants, especially in the preschool. We have lots of youth who assist with preschool. So if you are a new crew leader, don't stress if when you go through the training and you still feel like you don't really know what's going to happen. Because there will be lots of people. I mean, there are a lot of people who are crew leaders who have been crew leaders even longer than the 10 years that I've been around. So people have been doing it a really long time. The kids will likely be able to tell you where you're supposed to be, and they'll be able to help you follow the schedule and all of that. And so don't worry about it. If you're new and this seems a little overwhelming to you, just go with the flow and you will totally figure it out. And if you don't show up at your station, I mean, like we had one preschool crew leader who we had an elementary crew leader who went to preschool games, and they missed him because they wondered where he was, and we found him, and they were out on the playground. So don't worry, we'll find you if you end up somewhere you're not supposed to be. Okay, so the drop-off, the doors open at 5:45. We'll have greeters outside the narthex, and so if you are in a station, maybe you're in helping Cindy Snobble and Gail with dinner, and you get everything prepared and they don't need you during that 5:45 to 6 range, then please come help us in the narthex, because there are tons of parents flooding in the narthex, and the kids are super excited, and everybody's trying to figure out where they're going, and they're all going into the celebration room to sign in with their crew leader, but sometimes they need a little help getting there. So if you can be a greeter, let me know, check with your station leader, make sure that that's okay, And we need all hands on deck in the narthex to help people find out where they're going. Every parent must walk in and sign in with the crew leader. There's no drop off in the front. Every parent's going to walk in and they're going to sign in with a crew leader. And if they bring their child late, then they will walk in and be escorted to whatever station that their child is in and sign in with the crew leader. So nobody drops off in the front. There will be some alternate pickup forms in the crew leader folders. And that just means if a different parent is picking up a child than the one dropped them off, or if they're riding home with a neighbor or they're riding home with someone else. We have those forms in the crew leaders, and the crew leaders know how to do that. So if you're not a crew leader, you don't have to worry about that. I just want you to let you know that that's what happens. The kids of volunteers can't just run around the church before VBS starts. The kids of the volunteers need to stay with the volunteer until they are handed off to a crew leader or they're put into the nursery. So if you've got any questions about that, let me know. If you need help with your child because maybe you're working in an area that you need to work, then let us know and we can arrange for either a crew leader to get there early or the nursery to help out with that. Okay, so we're going to open doors at 5:45, assuming everybody's in place and we've called roll and we're doing great. Typically, it happens. Okay, so the first session is Castaway Sing and Play. And you'll notice on the left, we've removed all the chairs, except a few for the crew leaders to put the signs on in the narthex, and we've put squares of tape. And so every crew will have its own square, and that'll define their space. And they can sit on the floor, they can stand up, they can sing, they can dance. This is a high energy session. It lasts about 15 minutes, and it's led by Mr. Gary and his dance team. And so the kids will learn the songs, they'll learn to dance, they'll get a little message, and then they'll take off and go into their stations. We always have Bible buddies at VBS, and we always have a Bible point for each night. The crew leaders are going to give out the Bible buddies to their crews, so you don't have to worry about that if you're not a crew leader. But of course, we have Bible buddies this year. We always get the question. The kids are always super excited about who the buddy is, and I have a feeling that the sloth is going to be quite popular. He already is. Okay, at dinner, actually, dinner is called Tropical Treats this year. And the crew leaders are going to come into 117 and they're going to eat with their kids. The helpers who don't get a break all night, so maybe you're working in Bible Discovery with Jeff and Amy Brandon, and you're not going to get a break because y'all are going to have a session every single session. And so you can eat at 5:30. If you are a helper and you do get a break, like Mr. Gary does that opening and closing session, and so he can eat in the middle because he's got a break. So if you get a break, eat during your break. If you don't get a break, eat at 5:30 and they'll have some food ready for you. And Cindy and Gail are in charge of food this year, and they always do a great job. We will serve. It won't be a huge elaborate meal, but it will be enough, a dinner to feed their bellies and get them moving on to their next activity. Okay, so Bible Discovery is going to be led, for elementary, is going to be led by Jeff and Bethany Brandon. And then for preschool, it's going to be led by Martha Wagner and Dale Harrell. And elementary Bible story will be upstairs, and preschool will be on the preschool hall. Shipwreck Games is going to be led by Pastor Scott, and Eric Roth is going to help him, and they are going to have a blast. They're going to meet out by the narthex. Not the narthex, the pavilion, and in the grassy area out by the pavilion, so that's where games will be for elementary. And then preschool games this year, the preschoolers are going to play on the playground during games, and so the crew leaders will take the preschoolers and they'll just let them play. We found that we've done structured games for preschoolers, and what they really want to do is just run like crazy. So we're going to let them just run like crazy within the fence and make sure that they're safe. So that's what the preschoolers are going to do. Imagination Station is a fancy word for crafts, and Miss Teresa has got it super organized, and she's got 3 teachers. She's got 3 rooms. She's got 2 elementary rooms and 1 preschool room. And so the schedule will tell the crew leaders which room to go in, and that'll be on the hall that the choir room is on. The revival room 112 and the choir room across the hall, and then 106. Okay, so let's talk for just a minute about keeping everyone safe. I know you're getting emails and you're hearing announcements about Safe Sanctuary. I hope that your Safe Sanctuary is up to date. If it's not, we're going to have a training this Saturday, and we're going to review the Safe Sanctuary policy, and then there's a video, and you'll be getting that in an email. We ask that you not give the kids any candy or gum or snacks that aren't approved part of the curriculum. And we do have kids with food allergies, and we want to make sure that everybody's safe and that nobody's left out. And so it's easier. We feed the kids. They don't need candy. They're plenty ramped up without it. We don't need the gum all over the church. And so let's keep that away. There'll be a first aid kit in the narthex, and then there are also first aid kits that are strategically placed around the church, and then every crew leader will have like a little baggie with some Band-Aids and stuff like that in it. The lost kid procedure, I know it sounds scary, and it has happened, but we've never lost one permanently. We have lost them very temporarily, and typically what happens is somebody runs to go be with a sibling that they saw in a different group, and then the crew leader looks up and their kid is gone. We take that seriously, even though we have always found the children. So what will happen is we'll have the station leaders will have walkie-talkies, and if we do not know where a child is, then we won't change stations. So everybody will stay where they are. So if you're an Imagination station, you're going to stay there until we've located that kid, and we'll let you know over the walkie-talkie. And the leadership team has a protocol set up where we're assigning people to specific doors to make sure that the doors are going to stay locked during VBS anyway. But we'll cover making sure the building have people outside the building. So basically what you need to know is if we come over the loudspeaker, we're looking for a kid, stay calm, locate the kid. If you happen to pick up another kid, let somebody know. And that's really more on the crew leaders than it is on the station leaders. But we all got to work together on that. If we do have rain, and every year we have some rain, then we will announce before VBS starts what the rain plan is. We typically bring elementary games inside in the sanctuary, and we send preschool games to a couple of specific classrooms. So just listen out for that, and we will be keeping an eye on the weather. I have a new weather bug app that I love. And as far as a fire plan, if you are new to Cornerstone and you don't typically, if you don't know your way around our church really well, and you're in a leadership position, then I encourage you to take a look. The fire exit plans are posted, and just know where the nearest exit is. And so maybe you want to come early, maybe Friday during decorating, or if you're not familiar with the church, you want to come a little bit early, and I can send one of the kids and on a tour, and so you can just be familiar with where the churches are, where the doors are, and that type thing. Crew leaders and registration have emergency contact information. Yes, they do. Okay, so dismissal. Every kid must be signed out with their crew leader. The parents can't take their kids without signing them out. Adults must pick up children. Children cannot pick up children. And an adult, Safe Sanctuary defines an adult by anyone 18 years of age or older. And so a parent can't send the 5th grader to pick up the preschooler, and crew leaders know that, and they've got that. We will need dismissal. We will need greeters at dismissal. And one of the things that happens is after the parents pick up their kids, then the parents start talking. They've signed them out with the crew leader, and so technically now the parents are responsible for the kids. Well, what happens sometimes is the parents see other parents that they know that they want to talk to, and they're socializing and talking to each other, which is great. We love fellowship, right? But we have to have people at the door making sure the kids are leaving with the parents, because sometimes there will be kids who will take off and head toward the parking lot, and the parents are back there having a conversation. And so we need people to help in the narthex really at opening and closing, in my mind, are the times that we are the most vulnerable. And so we really want to make sure that we're keeping the kids safe all the time, but really in those 2 times, we need help with that. Volunteers kids should stay with their crew leader until their parent comes and signs them out. And so a crew leader's not going to tell, if you're working back there with Cindy Snobble in dinner, the crew leader can't just send your kid back to 117. Now, if it was a typical church day, maybe that would be fine, and your kid would be able to do that. But at VBS, you have to leave dinner and come and sign your child out. Pardon me, I've got dogs barking in the background. Okay, youth who are under the age of 18, which is how we define youth, are 6th graders through 12th graders, will sign in and out in the narthex with me. And so the youth who are helpers will sign in and out in the narthex, and so their parents will pick them up. And we will also have a youth room in John Tomlin's office where they can hang out and have some time, maybe after they're finished working or whatever. If there's a youth who is working in a preschool crew or even an elementary crew, that youth's going to be working until all the kids are picked up. Okay, so if you got questions, who do you ask? And I've put a list of kind of the different areas and who's in charge of the different areas, because if you have a question about decorations, then Shanna Schultz is a great person to ask about that. Because if you ask me, I probably won't know the answer, but I can get you Shanna's number for sure. And so if you have a question about a specific area, then go to that person's leader or that area's leader and ask that question. If you don't know who to ask, then the 3 numbers on the right are great numbers to have, and we can get you to the right person. So we have Diana's number, if you want to plug it into your cell phone real quick, is 910-429-4770. My number is 678-378-8974. And Maria Roth is in charge of registration. So any parents that have questions about their kids, or if they're parents of participants, then they need to go to Maria. That's the person to answer that question. And so that's 678-634-5852. So just to recap, if you've got a participant question, those go to Maria. If it's a volunteer question, those go to Diana or to me. I hope that helps. Okay, and if you'll send a quick email to the Cornerstone at cstonevbs@gmail.com, then we'll plug your name into a spreadsheet and for a chance to win a prize. If you've got questions, we would love to know. Thank you so much for attending this training. Have a great night.